r/confessions. Sit back, relax and enjoy this video. I'm ready for my wife to die. This is going to get long. Really long. No TLDR at the bottom. I'm just getting things off my chest. This will probably get me a lot of hate, so I don't know if I'll be reading comments or replying. I know in parts of this story I will sound like a selfish asshole. Let's cut to the chase. My wife needs a liver transplant, and part of me wants her to die before getting one, and I struggled using the word want, but if I am confessing, I'll be blunt. Well, now that is out there, how about a little background? Wife and I have been married for 12 years and have one child. We met in Germany, she is German, but moved to the States in 2010. Things were good for the first couple years. Some culture shock, disappointments when education didn't transfer, and learning the ins and outs of living stateside, but nothing drastic. That's when the depression began. Wife became super depressed. She was working part-time, where I was working 12-hour days. I would leave for work before she woke up, and I would get home after her. Despite that, I would have to get our son ready and take him to daycare in the mornings, and most days I would pick him. This is where things started to go downhill around the house. Dishes would get left in the sink overnight, floors wouldn't get swept as often, stuff like that. And I'm not saying that is all her fault. I'm an adult and know how to wash a dish or operate a broom, but sometimes after 12 hours at work, frick that noise. I chalked it up having a toddler, a dog, and 2 working adults. It is a house, not a museum. I mentioned the depression. Let's get back to that. It started simple enough. Crashing on the couch. She'd get home after a rough day, have some wine, and pass out on the couch. Not every night, maybe once a month. This lasted for months, but over the course of over 2 years, it became more and more normal and she was drinking more and more until it was more often than not. With her on the couch, intimacy started to wane. Again it was gradual, and again I chalked it up to raising a family. Then the rejection started. Please don't take what I'm about to say as prostitution, it was just part of our relationship dynamic, but we would change things for sexual favors. For example, if you cook dinner and do the dishes tonight, I'll give you a blowjob, or if you want to go hang out with the boys, you better frick me now, just our thing. Well, she kept making those same promises, but would never go through with. Yes, I know that no one ever owes anyone else frick. Yes, I know it is her body. But at that point, we were going without sex for months. I was still asking, she was still saying yes later, and she would pass out. No biggie once or twice, but this had become the norm. Every time that she promised but passed out instead was a rejection. I would stare at her while she slept and just hurt. Fast forward a few years, she is drinking more and I stopped asking. We are roommates at this point. She has stopped working and stays at home full time. The house is a wreck. Clutter and dirt everywhere. We stop having friends over, so no one will see the clutter. Baskets of unfolded laundry in baskets. Every morning I would search for matching socks. Every morning I was reminded of how little she did around the house. This is also when we were fighting all time. Both yelling, her crying, her passing out. It was our nightly routine. One of my often repeated points in our arguments was the house. I'm working full time. The kid was in school. She was home all day. Why is the place a mess? What was happening was she was getting drunk in the morning, passing out, getting up in the afternoon, just drink and pass out in the evening, but not before squeezing a fight. I was done and was ready for a divorce. Only thing that keeping me from doing it was my son, but something had to change. I laid down my ultimatum, get a job, go back to school, or GTFO. She picks going back to school. I help her look for a school and find a program she is really excited about. The drinking lessons never stops, and good times are here again. Until I get the phone call at work. She called to let me know she was about to kill herself. Didn't see that coming. Rush home, get there just in time. Let's revisit that depression I mentioned earlier. She was in counseling and working to find the right balance of medication, but something that day was too much. She was checked into the kind of hospital that takes your shoelaces and was there a week or two. She was like a changed person. Fast forward a few years. You need a psychiatrist, an actual MD, to prescribe medication. Hers retires. The office where she gets counseling didn't hire a new one. She stops taking the medication. Hello again, depression. And I see you brought anxiety with you. Awesome. Oh, and here comes the drinking again, but it has managed to increase. Double awesome. This time, the wife couldn't be without alcohol. She started sleeping downstairs again, a drink always within reach. Always. She would carry a bottle in her purse. Eventually, she got sick. Wow, that was a lot, but it brings us to the last 2 years. At the beginning of 2017, she was hospitalized. Early stages of liver failure, but still treatable. Think she quit drinking? Nope. A few months later, I come home with my son and find my wife collapsed and unresponsive on the floor. Ambulance ride, ICU, coma. The doctors unsure she'll live. At this point, I'm devastated, but I try to steel myself for the possibility. The last few years haven't been great, and I was ready for a divorce, but I didn't want her dead. She is the mother of, oh frick. It hits me. It hits me hard. I was prepared for her to get sick, possibly die, but facing the real possibility, I realized I would have to tell my son. I would have to look him in the eyes and say mommy is gone. I hit bottom. I know I cried the rest of that night. She made it. Eventually, she woke up, was moved out of the ICU, and sent home. For a week. That is when the seizure happened. Another ambulance ride. She aspirated during the seizure, which led to pneumonia, which led to the ICU. However, in her weakened state, she couldn't be treated locally. She was transferred to the university hospital. She needed a new liver, but to get one, you must be sober for 6 months. She got worse. She was transferred again, this time to a hospital we'll just say is ranked pretty high globally. No new liver, but things got better. She was released with a new lease on life. She quit drinking. She was transferred back to the local hospital and continued outpatient treatment. In 2017, 2018 started good, but about midway her condition worsened again. No worries. She is being treated by a doc, and with her new sobriety, they'll put her on the list. She can't do a lot on her own. I have to open bottles of water, help with medication, and some activities of daily living. The house is more cluttered than ever, the wife still sleeps downstairs, and sex is non-existent, obviously, but things are looking good. I'm not going to lie, these last 2 years have been rough. I know I haven't been perfect, and things have fallen by the wayside, but the major things are taken care of. The boy gets hot food every night, help with his homework, and clean clothes every day. The wife gets to her appointments and gets her treatments. I'm still working, even picked up a promotion. Then tonight, I just found 2 grocery bags full of empty cans and wine containers. She has been hiding drinks. I'm done. The last 2 years have been absolute hell. It has taken every ounce of me to not low seat. To manage everything. I can't anymore. Every day I would drive home from work, I would get stressed. As soon as I open the door, I'm overwhelmed with everything that needs to be done. But I focus on getting all the necessary things taken care of to keep the household rolling. I've been so lonesome having a wife, who turned into a roommate, who turned into a responsibility. During the many appointments I've been to, one doctor explained the liver transplant this way: 2 people will die so that you can live. The person who gave you the liver and the person that didn't get it in time because you did. So here it is. Here is my confession. Part of me thinks my wife doesn't deserve the transplant, and my life would be easier if she wasn't here. Edit. I know I haven't replied to anyone, but I did read most of the comments. Thank you for your advice and words of support. My reason for not replying is that I wrote this confession for my own catharsis. I just needed to get some things off my chest and never intended for it to get as big as it did. I did want to make a few general comments in reference to what you all have been saying. This was a one-sided, biased confession. Of course the whole story is multifaceted and more complex, but really, wasn't this post long enough? A lot of people commented on the alcoholism, and it is a serious issue, but honestly I believe the drinking is a side effect symptom of the depression. I know some of the major underlying causes of the depression, though I didn't say them. Both problems are serious. Mental health concerns not to be taken lightly that work viscously together to destroy lives. For frick's sake, it isn't just a dirty house. It is the constant feeling of having to drag someone through life. Of having someone that you were counting on constantly letting you down. It was 1,000 little hurts that build over time. I reread what I wrote and found several spelling, grammar, and typing mistakes. Not going to fix one. I feel they are part of the struggle I was having to get all my emotions out there. Thanks again everyone. Oh, you survived. Now sub. Please.